Depending on the rest stations, I will tell you that once you leave, the path gets treacherous. The world gets dark. You are going to need to carry a light. Jesus said that I have come into the world as a light, so that no one who believes in me should stay in darkness. The point is that the world without Christ is a dark place. He himself is the light. He himself needs to be your light. Because you're going to need to know where to go. Many of you have heard the Psalm 119, 105, your word is a lamp unto my feet and a light to my path. The psalmist wasn't just waxing poetic. What he's saying is, without the word of Christ in our lives, day by day, we will get lost. We will not know where to go. And if you are depending on the way stations, they are too far apart for you to depend on them every single day. You need to carry the light with you. In Proverbs 4:19, we learn that the way of the wicked is like deep darkness. They don't know what makes them stumble. When Brad and I were going up the side of that mountain, there were many times in which we stumbled over rocks that we simply didn't see. I'd be walking along and suddenly Brad would turn and look at something behind him, and all of a sudden I couldn't see anything, right? Hey Brad, turn around, I can't see where I'm going, right? And it was easy to trip over something in the path. If you can't see, if you are walking in the darkness, it is easy to stumble. And you need to see the world's dangers, because the world is a dangerous place. We learn from 1 Peter 5:8 that we are to be alert and of sober mind, for your enemy the devil prowls around like looking for someone to devour. Okay? Like a roaring lion. Your enemy the devil. Do you stop and consider that there is a real enemy who is looking for someone to devour? If you don't take him seriously, he will eat you. He is looking for someone to devour. He is hoping that you consider him something of a fairy tale. You will be able to see his designs if you carry the light with you. You also need to be aware that it is easy to bring the darkness into places in your lives where it is going to be a hindrance to you. It is easy to sort of drown out the light. Jesus said, your eye is the lamp of the body. When your eyes are healthy, your whole body also is full of light. When they are unhealthy, the body is also full of darkness. See to it then that the light within you is not darkness. Therefore, if your whole body is full of light and no part of it dark, it will be just as full of light as when a lamp shines its light on you. Your eye is the lamp of your body. What are you bringing into your body? What are you bringing into your body? Think of where your eyes go every week. I'm pretty sure you know because they're with you all week, right? Where are your eyes spending their time? Okay? The world is able to bring you all kinds of stuff. Pornography is a multi-billion-dollar industry. The world is happy to bring you that kind of junk into your life. There is lots and lots of... The internet, by the way, if anyone has found the end of the internet, let me know, because there is no end of the internet. It goes on and on and on, and there's lots of stuff out there that if you bring that into your body, if you bring that into your head, it is not going to help you. It is an avenue for Satan to cast darkness into your soul. You need to carry the light with you, don't you? The light of the Spirit, the light of the Word, the light of the people of God. That is what we do to carry the light with us. The world is a dark and treacherous place. You need to carry a light. You need to keep your own lamp lit, because if you expect to navigate by the lights around you, you will get lost. You will stray from the path into danger and disaster. Number 3, you need to patiently endure to the end. Climbing a mountain for 6 hours is a long, hard climb. But our life is a lot longer than 6 hours. Mount Fuji is a difficult climb. It's got steep and rocky inclines, darkness, freezing temperatures, and thin air, which was very hard for me to deal with near the top. I was going like 10 steps and saying, "Oh, Brad, oh, we need to stop." So if you're going to climb Mount Fuji, you're going to get cold, tired, dizzy, and short of breath. Sometimes you're going to feel overwhelmed. And sometimes you're going to feel like quitting. And the Christian life can be like this. I'm telling you now in case you don't know. Some of you know. I'm telling you now in case you don't know. The Christian life can be like this. It's not just an experience. It's a long obedience. It's a long obedience, a life's journey with and toward Jesus Christ. Now, the good news is that when you reach the summit, it's glorious. The suffering is done. The objective is reached. You're welcomed into the kingdom. Your sins are forgiven. It is a wonderful thing. But between now and then, it can get very cold. It can get very dark. It can get very lonely. It can get very exhausting. You will experience discomfort. You will experience inconvenience. You will experience frustration. You will experience disappointment. You will experience hardship and loss and pain and disillusionment and conflict. What do you do then? Some will turn away because of these things. You know this to be true because many of you have been here long enough to see it happen. Many of you have been walking with Christ long enough to note with sadness those who did not continue on the journey. They were with us for a little while, and then they left. In 1 John 2:19, John notes that they went out from us, but they didn't really belong to us. For if they belonged to us, they would have remained with us. But their going showed that none of them belonged to us. Please understand, it was the persevering which demonstrated the reality of their faith. It was the persevering that demonstrated the reality of their faith. I tell you this now because some of you in this room will probably get to a point where you think, you know what, it's too hard. It's too boring. Nobody visited me on my birthday. So-and-so said something mean to me. There are all kinds of reasons why people turn away. There are all kinds of reasons that the multitudes stopped following Jesus. But Jesus also said this. He said that the one who stands firm to the end will be saved. Because the one who stands firm to the end shows that the light within them is real. It wasn't just an experience. It was a real, no kidding, transformation, a real filling of the Holy Spirit. Jesus put the guarantee of the Spirit into that person. And that person is going to be in glory with Jesus forever. It is the enduring that demonstrates the reality of faith. It's not the enduring that earns the grace of God. That's impossible. You can't earn grace. It's the enduring that demonstrates the reality of the faith. So faith is more than just feelings, right? Faithfulness is proved over many years and many trials. In fact, I look around and I can see in this room many of you whom I have spent much time with who have endured much. You have endured. You have gone through hardship. You have gone through trial. You have gone through conflict. You have gone through suffering and frustration, and yet you're here. And I'm encouraged by that, because it says to me that the reality of your faith keeps you here. Of course, I also look out with sadness and note that there are some who are no longer here. And I do get very sad about that, because those are people whom I loved a great deal, and I hope that they come back. But I urge you not to be like those who, once it gets a little bit difficult, turn around and say, you know what, I don't need to get to the top. It's enough to have shown up. Now, the point is to get to the top. In his book, A Long Obedience in the Same Direction, Eugene Peterson describes how the church functions like this. He says, God's children do different things. Some run away from it and pretend that the family doesn't exist. They essentially say, hey, my faith's a personal thing. I don't need the family of God. Some move out and get an apartment on their own from which they can return to make occasional visits, or raids, nearly always showing for the parties and bringing a gift to show that they really do hold the others in fond regard. They're not really committed. They just want to show up once in a while just to sort of, okay, I'm here, just so everybody knows, still here. I might come back in a month or two. And some would never dream of leaving because others dream it for them. For they are always criticizing what is done and complaining that the others in the family are either ignoring or taking advantage of them. That's a difficult way to walk. It's a difficult thing to be one of those. Nothing is ever right, is it? Nobody is ever quite good enough to you. But some determine to find out what God has in mind by placing them in this community called a church. They learn how to function in it harmoniously and joyously and develop the maturity that is able to share and exchange God's grace with those who might otherwise be viewed as nuisances. And again, I look around and I see those people sitting here, those whom I have served with over the years, who have committed themselves and who have chosen to remain and minister to those who maybe somebody else considers a nuisance. Because they love them, because they love Christ, and because they understand what it means to be the kind of friend that you need along with you for the climb. And that brings us to the fourth point, which is that you need faithful friends. Brad and I needed each other on that climb. First of all, he had the light. So if he left me, I was in big trouble.
You had it half the time.
We needed each other for mutual motivation and encouragement, right? We needed each other for light and warmth. When we got to the top and there was nothing open, we had to huddle together so that, frankly, we didn't grow hypothermic. We needed each other in case of danger and disaster. If I had wandered off that path and fallen down, somebody was going to have to go back for help. Or go back and explain to his mother why he didn't go back for help. Ecclesiastes 4, the teacher talks about this. He says, there was a man all alone. He had neither son nor brother. There was no end to his toil, yet his eyes were not content with his wealth. For whom am I toiling, he asked, and why am I depriving myself of enjoyment? This too is meaningless, a miserable business. Two are better than one, because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, the other can help the other up. But pity anyone who falls and has no one to help him up. And if two lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. In order to make the climb, you're going to need a faithful friend. You're going to need the kind of friends who provide light and warmth in your life. The light and warmth of Christ. You need friends like Raul and Wayne Vicencio, who provide light and warmth in our lives and have done so for years. People who are genuinely concerned for your welfare. People who care enough to provide light into your life. Proverbs 12:26 says, the righteous choose their friends carefully, but the way of the wicked leads them astray. You're going to need friends who provide light and warmth. You're going to need the kind of friend who's going to help you in case of danger or disaster. Pastor Hill, who will drop everything he's doing and help when there's need. A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. That's the kind of friend you're going to need for the climb. Not the fair weather friend who's in it for the fun. Those are fine, but they're not going to get you to the top of the mountain. You need the friend who loves at all times, the brother born for adversity. In fact, it says in Proverbs 18:24, one who has unreliable friends soon comes to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. You're going to need those kinds of friends.